Warning, this video has spoilers for Xenoblade 1. Unless you don't care about spoilers, don't watch this video until you finish the game. Xenoblade Chronicles is a game that excels in a lot of different areas. One of those being the great areas to explore. One of the title's many strong suits are the vast, unique and beautiful locations it has. And today I'm gonna be ranking all of them. Now then, what counts as a separate area? Anything that appears on the area map screen. Excluding Mechonis core because, well, come on. That means we end up with a nice round number of 20. So let's mess that up by adding the Bionis shoulder from Future connected to it. This means this is essentially a top 21. I based this list on how much fun I was having while exploring, how much there is to do in the area, how good it looks, and how much I like the music. All of which is of course my opinion. Alright, let's get into it. Number 21, Bionis interior. Okay, maybe I should start by listing what I think this area did well. I actually like how this is supposed to be the inside of the Bionis, as most landmarks are its organs and most enemies are its cells. I also like that you go through a small part of this area in the beginning of the game, which makes it a little surprise when this turns out to be one of the final dungeons. And that's it, that's all I like about this area. The music is meh and the place really isn't that pleasing to look at. Exploration wise, there isn't even a lot to do. Sure, there are some branching pathways, but most don't even go anywhere. At the very least, you can get through this dungeon relatively quickly. Number 20, the Ether Mines. One of the most bland areas in the game. I was dreading having to go through this place again in my Definitive Edition playthrough, but it wasn't as bad as I remembered. In fact, it was relatively short too. The only parts that really sucked were the ones where you had to wait for these rotating platforms, but that was it really. It is a bit of a shame that they didn't add a lot of secrets to find or anything, but seeing as it becomes inaccessible later on, that's understandable. Still, the forgettable music and unappealing environment don't really do these mines any favors. Number 19, Sword Valley. I guess you can say you've also visited Sword Valley before, like Bionis interior? The second visit isn't too exciting though. Going through this area mostly consisted out of fighting Mechon to open gates. The one saving grace for this area is the music playing in it though. Yeah, get ready for me to praise the soundtrack a lot in this video. This track really has a grandiose and almost imposing feeling to it. A perfect fit for this place since you're getting closer and closer to the giant Mechon awaiting you. The Definitive Edition really did this track justice. Sword Valley doesn't do anything wrong like the previous two places, but aside from the music, it doesn't stand out too much either. Number 18, High-Entia Tomb. There's not much to this area either, but at least it's kind of pleasing to look at, and the Bridges of Light are a sick addition. It might admittedly be less interesting than Sword Valley, but it makes up for it by adding a few secrets here and there. For example, remember this scene with Lorithia and Alvis where they were analyzing the spear? That room was in the tomb all along. Aside from that one, there are some other hidden passageways too. This place doesn't have that much to offer, but I found a bit more value in this one compared to the previous two. Number 17, Central Factory. I completely forgot about this area when playing through the Definitive Edition. When I got out of Mechonis field, I just went, wait a minute, this isn't Agniritha! The Central Factory takes way longer than any of the previous areas on the list. But I can't say it ever became boring, because the music is, once again, way better than it had any right to be. Getting spotted by Mechon that are way out of your range could be a bit of a pain though. If it wasn't for the music, this area would have been way lower on the ranking. Number 16, Galahad Fortress. Yeah, not gonna lie, I didn't really remember much from this place either. I remember it existed, but I didn't remember anything I did here. And then I looked up the music and remembered everything, which sadly wasn't that much. You don't do much here aside from sabotaging some machines and fighting face nemesis at the end, but just like with Central Factory, the music really helped to make this area feel way more epic than it would have otherwise. Number 15, Tephra Cave. This cave is deceptively big. Like Bionis interior, I thought this would have been an area you'd only have to go through once or twice in the early game, but it opening up near the end was a nice surprise. You get to see where all those spiders came from, and you can even find a tomb of a giant. I don't think the cave looks or sounds that great, but it makes up for that by giving you a lot to do in the early and late game. Number 14, Mechonis Fields. Like Central Factory, this area can take a really long time to get through. The first half can be a bit boring, because you're doing nothing but looking for switches to turn on elevators. The second half is way more fun however. Not only are there these conveyor belts which can launch you really far if you jump at the right time, but you can even go outside of the Mechonis. And I'm running out of different ways to say this, but the music is surprisingly catchy in this place. What can I say? The Mechonis areas have some really great field themes. Number 13, Frontier Village. This is where the really good areas start. Frontier Village is a really chill place. Both the day and night music are just really relaxing, no thought, head empty themes. They really help to make my various trips here all the more pleasant. While the area is at the end of the day just one big tree, I still liked visiting it from time to time, as the Mechonis had a lot of side quests to hand out. Near the end, the village even became a camp for high-Entia refugees to stay, which gave even more side quests, which just gave me another reason to return to this relaxing place. Number 12, Magna Forest. Yeah, I never really got the hype around this area, to be honest. I definitely like it a lot, but I wouldn't really call it one of the best locations in the game. Still, that doesn't mean that there's nothing to do here, on the contrary. Most of the side quests in Frontier Village will require you to explore the forest. And just like in Tephra Cave, there's even a tomb of an old king that you can eventually find. And just like in Frontier Village, the music accompanying your travels here is also really relaxing. This place has a lot to offer, but for some reason it just didn't really stick with me as some of the next entries. Number 11, Bionis Shoulder. I did feel like it was a bit unfair putting the shoulder on here. I've played the main game 3 times now if you include the Definitive Edition, while I've only played through Future Connected once. Therefore I've explored all the other areas much more often and thoroughly than this one. Still, I think number 11 is a nice spot to put this area at. This region reminds me a bit of the Torn Titan from Xenoblade 2's expansion, in the sense that it's way more varied than any of the other areas in the game. You have several caves, rivers and lakes, ruins and even some of the floating islands from RFC. It all looks good and all, but there's nothing that really makes this place stand out compared to the others. The town, Grandel, on the other hand, does set itself apart from the other towns with its architecture and its inhabitants consisting out of all 4 races. While the music here is good as always, some places do recycle some existing field themes, which some people might see as a negative. I'm not one of these people, however. I can't tell you how hyped I got when I heard the Prison Island theme again. It is really cool that they brought back a place that was originally scrapped from the main game, but while the shoulder overall is really solid, I think it took just a bit too much from the other already existing areas. Number 10, Bionis Leg. Probably the most recognized level in the game, if only because of Smash Bros. The plains really have a lot of variety with its fields, caves and lakes. The upbeat music really puts you into a mood to explore every nook and cranny of this place, and even the night version still manages to keep some of that cheerful energy. Also, quick shout out to the refugee camp. It only makes up a small part of this area, but I still love it a lot, mostly because of the great music playing there. All in all, the Bionis Leg is just great. It has magnificent music, lots of landmarks to find, and level 80 gorillas. What more could you want? Number 9, Agnirefa. Out of all areas you lose access to at some point, this is the one I miss the most. I even have a separate save file just so I can go back to this area if I ever wanted to. Agnirefa used to be the capital of Mechonis, until Zanza's Telephias destroyed most of it. As a result, it has a really sad atmosphere when you get there. Aside from the Mechon and some terminals, there are no NPCs to be found there. The music playing both at day and at night really helped to make this abandoned city feel that much more tragic. Apparently some people thought this area was hard to navigate, but I can't say I remember ever getting lost here. The thousands of Mechon ambushing you on the other hand can get annoying sometimes, but the surprisingly big amount of side quests and the atmosphere more than make up for it. Number 8, RFC. I used to feel a bit lukewarm about this one, but Definitive Edition managed to sell me completely on this area. While the floating islands are nice enough during daytime, at night is where this area really shines. All the lower halves of the islands glowing up make for a spectacle to behold. Sometimes you can even see shooting stars, which are just the cherry on top. This would easily make the top 5 if this list was based on looks alone. What's it doing at number 8 then? Well, in the beginning I said I'd keep in mind how fun the areas are to explore, and yeah, RFC has some problems there. I don't have a problem with the transporters or anything, but if you want to go to one of the many distant shores, you'll have to swim. Now let me remind you that this is one of the biggest areas in the game, so if you're planning to find all locations to fill out the entire map, this can really suck. It's an unfortunate downside of this breathtaking area, but its beauty still carried it to the number 8 spot. Number 7, Alchemoth. I can imagine this place really isn't anything special for most people. The music and aesthetics are good, but they're by no means standouts compared to all the other ones from the other locations. But the reason this area made the list is because of what happens after most High-Entia transform into Televia and most of the city is destroyed. For those who did not know this, you can actually still come back here. You can't use skip travel anymore, but the transporter in RFC never stopped working. The music never got changed, but it somehow still fits with the destroyed version of Alchemath. Especially the choir part really helped to give this place a somber mood. This area now has a more sad vibe similar to Agnirifa, but it feels even more effective here because you knew what the city was like before. You got to experience its downfall firsthand. And thanks to the side quest from some of the survivors, you even get to fix some parts of the city and help some left behind civilians. To me, it felt like you got to prevent this city from becoming another Agnirifa. The tragic events that happen in Alchemath really help to make it all the more memorable. Also, poor Melia or something. Number 6, Colony 9. This is the perfect first level. I love how when you start the game, you have to go through this narrow passageway that slowly opens up to show you the many different directions you can go in. I still remember playing this game for the first time and just being surprised at how much there was to explore in the starting area alone. The hometown is easy enough to traverse, but still has a lot for you to do. And while the music playing there is fitting enough, the music when you're exploring the rest of the colony is incredible. The only downside I can think of with this area is, once again, the swimming. There are a few shores you can swim to, which I really like the additions of, but there are no skip travel points anywhere near them. It's not that far, but sometimes I did wish there was a faster way to get there. Other than that, this area does everything else right. It leaves a great first impression. Number 5, Colony 6. It was really tempting to make this the number 6, but in the end I had to give it the spot it deserved. Just like Alchemath, this area might not stand out to some people after their first visit. However, the reason it plays so high is also the one thing Juju was ever good for: the rebuilding of Colony 6. This is by far the longest side quest in the entire game, and one of the most demanding too. Some of the materials you'll need are from areas that become inaccessible, so that can admittedly suck. But nothing beats the satisfaction of looking over the colony from the watchtower, knowing you helped to make this possible. A small detail I appreciate is that the music gets more and more lively the further you get in this process. You can also start inviting more and more people, which means that even more side quests will open up, which means that there's even more content for you to do. Restoring this colony to its former glory was one of the most triumphant moments in this game, and will always stick with me. Number 4, Prison Island. This is the only place that appears on the area list twice. Rather than putting it on my ranking 2 separate times, I just decided to give them a shared entry. I'm sure everyone remembers the first visit to this place because of what happens, but I'd like to praise the music playing at that point. I feel like I've said this 100 times before on this list, but it's just so good. It really helps to hype up your climb to the top of the island. It's one of the most tense and serious sounding tracks in the entire OST. It almost sounds like it's supposed to be cutscene music, which made it even more fitting that it keeps playing during some of the cutscenes in this part. Sure, you don't really do much other than moving in a straight line on your first visit, but hey, your second trip made sure to fix that. Now this is how you do a final level. Seeing the gate slowly open and hearing the music kick in just makes for one of the most epic moments in the game. And now that you finally get to explore the island, you can see just how interesting this place was designed. It might be called Prison Island, but it really gives off the vibe of some kind of castle, with a banquet hall, arenas and even a throne. There are even a lot of secrets to find here. This is one of my favorite final levels in any game I ever played. Number 3, Fallen Arm. On paper, this area doesn't seem too special. The Fallen Arm mostly consists out of a bunch of beaches and greenery with the Machina village in the middle. What makes this place stand out is its position towards the two titans. Like the name implies, this is indeed the arm that fell down from the Mechonis after it got cut off in the opening cinematic. You can even climb on top of one of the fingertips to see a breathtaking view of the entire area. A small touch I really like about this place is that you can see some of the wreckage that fell down from Sword Valley, including some of the giant Mechon you encountered, and even Momkar's corpse, where you can view my favorite heart-to-heart in the game. The music accompanying the day and night version both sound more slow paced and tragic, which works for both the previously mentioned Heart to Heart and the area as a whole. Exploration wise there wasn't too much to do, but the Fallen Arm has so many positives that it could easily be excused. Number 2, Subtle Marsh. I still remember entering this area for the first time all the way back on the Wii version. I was just floored. I don't think I had ever seen a video game level that was this beautiful up to that point. And all these years later, nothing has been able to give me the same feeling. Not only is it stunning to look at during nighttime, but it also has one of my favorite songs from the game playing at that point. This area is just so calming to walk around in. Some people complain that nothing story relevant happens here, but I think that's the whole point. You just barely escaped from Metal Phase with your life, and now you get a chance to relax and explore to your heart's content. There is a lot to do when you first get here, as well as by the end game, which is again something I really like. I was always happy when a side quest gave me an excuse to come back to this area. Sure, the daytime version isn't as interesting, but who the hell cares? There's a clock function in the game, just use that if you don't want nighttime version to end. Number 1, Valak Mountain. What can I say? Valak Mountain really has everything I look for in a Xenoblade level. Just like Subtle Marsh, the place undergoes a beautiful transformation at night. The many crystals send beams of light into the sky that you can see from the entire mountain. The developers clearly knew how beautiful of an area they made, as there's a side quest that specifically asks you to decide which place has the best view looking down on the mountain. Other than that, this area just has a lot for you to play around with. You have a few geysers or geysers, I still don't know how to pronounce that word. Pools with hot water that can shoot you into the sky, and best of all, ice physics. I'm so glad that they didn't change any of these mechanics in the Definitive Edition. Building up momentum and launching yourself from one of the ice slides is one of the most fun things to do in the game. There are even some things that you only gain access to during the late game. You can finally explore the Giants and Hyantia ruins, and 3 out of the 5 super bosses are located here for some reason. This area is not perfect by any means. The landmarks are a bit spread out, and if you didn't discover this specific one when you lose to the boss, then have fun walking across half the map to try again. I'm not trying to convince anyone that this is the perfect area. I'm just saying that this one is my personal favorite. It excels in every part I look for in a good level. It's fun to explore, has a lot to do, and both looks and sounds wonderful. All of that makes Valak Mountain my favorite location in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to do the same as Ryan here and press that subscribe button, because more Xenoblade content like this will be coming soon. In the meantime, you can tell me what your favorite areas are in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.